Good evening, everyone. I'm Bill Traynor, and it's a privilege to welcome you to this 10th anniversary celebration of the O'Neill Institute for National and Global Health Law. And I have to say, it's a delight to look out and see so many of you here. And I'd like to offer a special welcome to our alumni, colleagues, and students from across the university. And, the fact that we have so many representatives of schools throughout the university, really symbolizes so much about the O'Neill Institute. Now, O'Neill is, of course, housed here at the Law Center, but it's truly an interdisciplinary enterprise. It makes use of some of the most brilliant minds of our day and draws on intellectual resources from around the university, including from our School of Nursing and Health Studies, our School of Medicine, the McCourt School of Public Policy, and the Kennedy Institute of Ethics on the main campus, whose work is especially focused on bioethics. And since its founding 10 years ago, the O'Neill Institute has become really a signature jewel of the university and just universally recognized as such. Now, Tim and Linda O'Neill are the reason it exists. And they couldn't be with us today, but Tim is a law alum, class of 77, and his wife Linda is an alum of the nursing school, class of 77 as well. And I called up Tim today, and he said he was so sorry he couldn't be here, but how proud he is of the great work that the Institute has done over the past decade. And many of you in this room are engaged in the work that Tim and Linda wish to make possible from their gifts. And their vision and their generosity, the way in which they shared their resources, has helped make possible a momentous positive impact on the lives of people throughout the world. And their philosophy really resonates with the core principles of the university, the key Jesuit value that Georgetown embraces, cura personalis. Cura personalis means care of the whole person, attending to the needs of each person you come into contact with. And the O'Neill's vision of using legal solutions and research to advance the cause of health rights around the world takes cura personalis to a deeper level, caring for the whole populations, caring for peoples whose individual members we might not ever meet. So, in honor of Tim and in honor of Linda, I'd like us all to join in a very hearty round of applause. So, in a minute, I'm going to call Larry Gostin up to the stage, but I'd just like to take a moment to shine the spotlight on the faculty leadership of the O'Neill Institute. And it's led by our faculty director, Larry Gostin, and by our executive director, Oscar Cabrera. Larry, actually, why don't you come to the stage? I'm going to say a few words about you. Larry is the holder of the Linda and Timothy O'Neill Professorship of Global Health Law. He's director of the World Health Organization's Collaborating Center on Public Health Law and Human Rights. He serves as university professor, which is the highest faculty rank conferred by the president of Georgetown. And he's really a visionary. He's someone who has a profound conception of the way in which law can make this a better place and profoundly change global health outcomes. And it's such a privilege to be his colleague. And he's also an incredibly nice person. And I have to say, the only downside of being Larry's colleague is when you have lunch with him and you feel like you're a bad eater. Before I turn things over to Larry, I also want to recognize Oscar Cabrera. Oscar is a visiting professor of law, in addition to serving as the Institute's executive director. He's studied and worked extensively internationally, including in his native Venezuela and in Toronto, Canada. He's worked on key projects with the World Health Organization, with the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, and the Campaign for Tobacco-Free Kids. So they're an amazing team. And I think all of us just realize how profoundly they've made a difference through the work of the O'Neill Institute. So for their dedication, their leadership, and the impact they're making globally through the Institute. I'd like you to join me in a round of applause for Larry and for Oscar. So, now I'd like to turn matters over to Larry, and I'd like to have him talk to you about some of the extraordinary work the Institute has been doing. So, our great colleague, a visionary, and just an extraordinary person, Larry Gostin.
Thank you, Bill. I mean, it means a lot to me. I mean, I can't even begin to thank you for all you've done for us, for Georgetown Law, for the faculty, for the O'Neill Institute, for all the centers and institutes. If there is a visionary, it's really you. And I just want to say how enormously grateful I am to you, and always will be. For Oscar Cabrera, he's my partner in arms, and if you don't know Oscar, he's the one that's really built the community of scholars at the O'Neill Institute. One of the things I'm really proud of, among the most proud, is the fact that we are a family. We're a happy community, all with a common purpose, and we owe that to Oscar. And thank you to Salma for helping with this event, and for Bridget and Allison and the whole O'Neill Institute team. Just thank you from the bottom of my heart. The O'Neill Institute is celebrating its 10th anniversary this year, and we'll be sending out invitations to a major scholarly event to celebrate that occasion in the autumn. But I think the most important thing to say about the Institute, and I think this is common to the centers and institutes that make Georgetown so unique around the world, is that our mission is to use world-class scholarship to make a difference in the world. And so we're not advocates, and we're not purely scholars, but we actually try to use our scholarship, our normative, empirical, analytical work to actually improve the world. And we do that, I like to call it global health with justice, that you need to have both. You need to have ever-improving health outcomes in the world, but you also need to have them fairly distributed. You need a sense of justice, and that's what makes the O'Neill Institute at Georgetown Law so remarkable and so special. So let me just mention just a few of the things that we've done. There are really far too many for me to summarize, but a couple of major points. I mean, I see Tim Westmoreland and others in the room, John Monahan, who were involved with our Legal Solutions Project. This was a project that tried to provide support to the White House and Congress about what was lawful, what could be done under the Affordable Care Act. And I'm really happy to be standing here to tell you that the Affordable Care Act is the law of the land. And the O'Neill Institute had a little bit to do with it. Not the fact that it survived this Congress, but the fact that we helped in its formative years. We also are currently in the midst of a major global commission on global health law. We're partnering with the Lancet, which is the major medical journal really in the world, and certainly for global health. We've got commissioners from around the world, and we're going to be preparing a report that's going to take up virtually the whole issue of the Lancet on using law as a tool to improve health outcomes and justice. So we're very proud of that. We just had a major World Health Organization report where the O'Neill Institute partnered with the World Health Organization and the International Development Law Organization on a major report called Advancing the Right to Health, again, using law as a tool to make a very substantial difference in the world. We do a lot of capacity building as well. We have a Global Health LLM where we train the future leaders of the world. People come from China, Latin America, North America, Europe, to study with us for a year. We also have a joint program with the Graduate Institute in Geneva. And we send them back to departments of justice, ministries of health, the United Nations, the World Health Organization, and we try to provide that legal capacity to really make a difference in the world. Let me just end with a little anecdote. It's my favorite anecdote about how even I just get teary-eyed when I think what we've managed collectively to do at the O'Neill Institute. But I've been very much involved, and the O'Neill Institute has been in global health security. We worked very strongly on global commissions on Zika, Ebola, and other areas. I'm actually doing a book now for Harvard Press on the subject. But we were invited by Japanese President Abe to help form the G7 agenda on global health security, which is a major part of the G7. And when I went to Tokyo for that, the Prime Minister had a very large gathering, and the keynote was a stage somewhat like this, a little more grand, but on it there were 4 signs. There was the head of state of Japan, Abe. There was the head of the Gates Foundation, Bill Gates. There was the head of the World Health Organization, Margaret Chan. There was the head of the World Bank, Jim Kim. And there was the O'Neill Institute. Enough said. So I just want to take this opportunity to thank you all very much for coming tonight, for all your support. And I hope that we can rely on you going forward to be partners to achieve the vision of global health with justice. So again, thank you to the O'Neill Institute team. Thank you to Georgetown Law, and particularly to Dean Traynor. And now what I would like to do is introduce Ana Ayala. She's the director of our Global Health LLM program, which is unique, literally unique from around the world. And Ana is going to introduce 2 of our recent graduates from that program that will say just a few short words about our Global Health LLM. Is Ana here? Oh, you're right there. Good. Thank you, Ana.
Thank you very, very much. It's truly an honor to be able to present to you 2 exceptional individuals that have gone through our Global Health Law LLM program. And I had the honor of seeing them grow from already very accomplished lawyers into global health law graduates of our program, and now global health lawyers. Our first speaker is Estefania Palomino. She graduated last year in 2016, and she's originally from Colombia. She is now at the WIS Foundation here in Washington, D.C., and she's the program manager of the Women's Health and Equality Program in Latin America. She's also was a recipient of the Global Health Scholarship, and I want to say that she's definitely very passionate about what she does, and that was she was shining through, I think, well, when she came to us, and still does, about everything that she does. She's very proud of the work that she does, and she will make important change in the world. And our second graduate is Faith Osam Jabin. She's originally from Ghana and also graduated last year. And she's now at the AIDS Law Project of Southern New Jersey office. And she works to educate the public about AIDS-related legal issues, training case management professionals to become better advocates for the HIV-positive clients. And she works at local, state, and national levels to achieve fair laws and policies. She was also a recipient of the Global Health Law Scholarship. So let me turn it over to Stefania.
Thank you, Anna. Dean William Trenner, students, faculty, and distinguished guests, thank you so much for your warm welcome. Ever since I started my career as a lawyer, I knew that I wanted to work defending the right to healthcare, especially women and rights healthcare. I can say now that I wanted to become a global health lawyer. I just wasn't aware of that concept back when I started law school in my home country. I grew up in Cucuta, Colombia, a region full of very evident income and healthcare inequalities. I also witnessed how those inequalities affected certain people in particular, women, rural, poor, those in conflict areas. Through my personal experiences, I have come to appreciate that access to healthcare is one of the most precious rights that individuals and communities must be able to enjoy. I remember when my dream of doing my LLM in global health law started. I was working at the global division of PPFA and coordinating advocacy efforts in the most restrictive countries for reproductive rights in Africa and Latin America. Countries around the world where women and girls as young as 10 are still dying of obstetric emergencies. My mentors and colleagues all recommended Georgetown Law. I read a lot about the O'Neill Institute and its role shaping healthcare policies. I knew it was the only place where I could learn how to be a true global health lawyer and increase my social impact, of course. One question remained: how was I going to afford tuition? I was very fortunate to receive the Global Health Law Scholarship granted by the Institute. If it wasn't for the generous support of Georgetown Law, and in particular my mentors, Professor Nan Hunter, Oscar Cabrera, and Ana Ayala, I wouldn't have had one of the best experiences of my life. And the invaluable support, financial support of this institution, but more importantly, the personal and professional guidance that it provided me has led me to where I am now. I currently serve as the program manager of the Latin America division at the WIS Foundation, where I lead a large portfolio of investments in women's health and rights and a network of consultants in 12 different countries in Latin America. I say serve because one of the things that you learn at Georgetown Law is that you don't join the profession for personal gain, but to help to empower those around you. Shortly after taking on this role, I became one of the 5 nominees in the world for the Buffett Award for Emerging Global Leaders because of my work in the area of women's rights. I can assure you, I'm one of the least impressive of my classmates. After graduation, all the wonderful friends that I made during that year ended up serving at the front lines of academic and researching institutions, civil society organizations, law firms, foundations, and other academic platforms that are allowing them to create and defend standards related to the right to health. They work on multiple issues, such as neglected tropical diseases, reproductive health care, or non-communicable diseases, all of them upholding the Jesuit values that we gain here through the defense of right to health. The future of global health, however, is in jeopardy. Funding is scarce, and the mandates to support international development continue to be eroded. I cannot express the frustration that I feel as a woman from a developing country and in my new role as in philanthropy to see life-saving dollars being diverted away from the underserved communities that need healthcare. Each minute that we fail to take action, each minute that we are lacking professionals committed to the right to health in key decision-making positions, people are dying and communities are being profoundly affected. There's a lot that we can do. It could be by directly donating to a scholarship to breed the next generation of global health leaders. It could be by sharing the marvelous story of the university that decided to start a global health law program and bring talent from all over the world to solve the most pervasive global health gaps. It could be by sharing the story of the O'Neill Institute that incubated the idea and turned it into a driving force of scholarship and innovation. I'm extremely happy to be at the launch of this Global Health Law Scholarship Fund, aimed at providing students with financial support without which they wouldn't be able to come to this program. And not only am I happy to know that many young lawyers will have the same experiences as I did, I am also relieved to know that the people who are going to be trained by this generous support will become the leaders that this world needs, will defend access to healthcare over politics, will work every day to improve the effectiveness of their own country's health system, so that people stop dying from preventable causes, so that the world is a healthier, more equitable place. Thank you.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm excited to be here today to celebrate with the O'Neill Institute. And most importantly, I am highly honored to be called upon to talk at this event to raise funds in support of the Institute Scholarship Scheme. Barely a year into my call to the Ghana Bar, I came close to seeing the failing health system in my country. With my very eyes, I saw pregnant women being turned away and denied emergency medical services due to lack of insurance and also because they couldn't pay. With my very eyes, I saw pregnant women and newly born babies lay on the floors of the labor and delivery wards because there was no space and there were no beds. With my very eyes, I saw babies, 2 to 3 of them, share the incubator at the NICU. I was moved with compassion at the time because I was also an expectant mother. I pledged to myself to do the best I could to help alleviate the plight of my people. Georgetown Law came highly recommended by my husband. I looked into the programs they were offering, and I decided to apply to the Global Health Program. At the time of application, all I had was my passion and my quest for change. But thanks to givers like you, I was able to get the scholarship I needed to fund my school. Thanks to you, I now am able to count my LLM degree as one of my most choicest blessings I've been blessed with. The very first lawyer in my entire family, born to parents who had never been to the classroom and who are into petty trading for a living. Here I stand today because the O'Neill Institute decided to give me a chance. After my LLM degree, I got the opportunity to do my practical training with the AIDS Law Project of Pennsylvania. It is a nonprofit organization which represents persons living with HIV and AIDS. With my degree from Georgetown Law and my experience at the Law Project, I am committed to keeping the charge of being the change that I so desperately needed for my people. I know there are hundreds of other students out there, not just students, but professionals, lawyers, who just like me have nothing but their passion and their quest for change. I therefore plead with all of us here present to give as much as we can to give them the opportunity to realize their dreams to their fullest potentials. As much as we would want to, we cannot all go to the ends of the world to make change. But by supporting the scholarship scheme, we give the opportunity to these young professionals to brighten the corners wherever they find themselves. Thank you for the opportunity, O'Neill Institute, and thank you all.
Well, I'd like to thank Faith and Estefania for those extraordinary comments. And I think, at Georgetown Law, one of the things that's very striking to me is, we have learned so much from the O'Neill Institute in the past decade, that it's transformed what we do as a school. So, I think the comments from Larry, from Faith, from Estefania, you get a sense of kind of the two dimensions of what the O'Neill Institute does. One is it has extraordinary impactful scholarship that's interdisciplinary, that grapples with the most important issues at the intersection of law and public health, and comes up with powerful and innovative solutions. And as it does cutting-edge scholarship, it also educates the next generation of people who are going to go out and make a difference in the world. And so, one of the insights that we've gotten as a school, I see, Vicky Arroyo, who's our assistant deans of centers and institutes, we've realized that centers and institutes at Georgetown can make a profound difference through their scholarship and educate the next generation. And so we've used this model in area after area. And so, that's yet another reason why I'm so grateful to Larry and to Oscar and to the O'Neills. And you can be part of that difference. So, when you see someone like Faith, when you see someone like Estefania, when you support them, when you bring them to Georgetown Law, you are making it possible for them to take the lessons that they learn from Larry and from Oscar and from so many of the people in this room and make the most profound difference around the world. So this is a night of celebration and thanks, but it's also a night of appeal. So I hope all of you will think about giving to support the great work of the O'Neill Institute, and in particular, to support the next generation of scholars who come and learn the powerful lessons of the O'Neill Institute. So thank you for thinking about it. I know you're all going to come through. And then I just want to close. It's a real privilege for me to be here. What the O'Neill Institute has done is just making the world a better place. This is a law school that has as a vision educating lawyers who will make the world a better place, who will make it a more just place, who will make it a more equitable place. And nowhere is that more profoundly evident than the O'Neill Institute. So I want to thank all of you who are here, who are part of the O'Neill team. I want to thank Oscar. I want to thank Larry. I want to thank Linda and Tim for the amazing work that they've made possible and for the amazing work that lies ahead. So, a round of applause for the O'Neill Institute. So thank you and good night, and I look forward to sharing this great reception and this great celebration with all of you. Thank you all.